Sandcastles, sunshine, trains and the sea. The Torrington trip to the coast. It was a long time ago, more than 30 years, that an old farmer told me the following story. It was all about the annual Torrington Day Out to the coast, a day that everyone liked and enjoyed, and everyone came. And this trip to the coast always took place after harvest, and this well-earned day off was always a day for relaxing and fun. And the fun always started at just after 9 in the morning. The meeting point was always the station, a building that sadly no longer exists. The line closed a long time ago. And it was there, in very high spirits, that everyone boarded the 9:39 for the coast. And the trip up to the coast was always a journey of fun. There was always a feeling of freshness. There was chatting and laughing, and the youngsters were giggly and silly. Everyone was happy and excited. And even though the trip was an hour and a half, the coast always arrived much quicker than expected. And even though they had all been before, each time was just like the very first time. Nothing was ever the same. The powerfully wonderful air was always more powerful, the smell of the seaweed much stronger, and the taste of the salt on the wind always more salty than ever, and the gulls' piercing wailing much sharper. But despite these impressions of differences, these days out to the coast were always the same. There was paddling and swimming and sploshing and splashing. There was the throwing and catching of giant coloured beach balls. There was the building of sand castles, and, as was the tradition, most fathers spent much of their time being buried alive by their nice little children. And in between, and depending on age, were rides on the donkeys, all part of the fun of the beach. And then came the picnic, and this meal in the sand was always sensational. There were sandwiches, which by the way were called sandwiches because of the sand that always found its way in and made them horribly crunchy. There were cupcakes, cherry cakes, ginger cakes, and crisps and bananas and apples. And for quenching the thirst was beer, tea, and juice. Something and plenty for all. And the afternoons always slowed down for snoozing in deck chairs and chatting and knitting, and Punch and Judy, the great British seaside tradition. Theatre for the young, with the same terrible climax, and always exciting. And then came more splashing and sploshing, and chasing and catching. The children never grew tired. And at 7 o'clock, which was always too soon, the train headed home from the coast. But the fun didn't stop. No one was tired. The entire way home was laughing and singing. A day full of fun on the beach was over again. And now time for bed and dreams of the sea. It was a long time ago that a very old farmer told me this story. Sandcastles, sunshine, trains and the sea. The Torrington trip to the coast.